I suppose I want to see a border poll, I want to see a referendum, but my party are consistently calling for a plan and preparation for that to happen, that we can't just walk into a referendum and a poll without the preparation. And I know we've been calling for a citizens' assembly, but I think what you're talking about there is a plan prior to that, where we engage with as many people as possible and kind of, formulate what the discussion should be at a citizens' assembly. And, you're right, reaching out to women, and especially marginalised women, is extremely important. I mean, I'm spokesperson for disability, so constantly disabled people feel that, they're not engaged with, they're overlooked, even in relation to matters that pertain to them. And disabled women in particular would say, well, they're marginalised doubly because they're female and disabled, and it applies to other, minority groupings as well. And I'm just interested in the study that you did, and you had a number of workshops were held and engaged with, I think it was 20 groups in total, where there were maybe 6 to 12 participants. And just how did you actually ask or get those women involved? I mean, who did you reach out to involve the women in those workshops and engage with them? Because I think something similar is going to have to be done on a larger scale if we're serious about this.
That was the original work. So that was the work we conducted over 2 years. Yeah. It was in the middle of COVID, so we had the added torture of having to do online in the end. Yeah. And then we have we have now more time in the workshops, so we are able to conduct them over a Friday and a Saturday, which is fantastic. And we have groups of disabled women coming in the next few weeks to take part in a workshop. So so if we go back 4 years, because I do think this is important, if we go back 2 years, I would go to conferences, I would go to meetings, and I would talk to coordinators of groups, and I would say, we are setting up workshops on constitutional conversations. And the replies would be, is that on unity? And I would say, yes. And there would be immediate fear. And they would say, look, our group doesn't take a position on the constitutional issue, okay? So you really had to work with coordinators of groups from that point forward. And again, the key is to ensure that people know that all perspectives on the constitutional issue are respected, that we are going to talk about socioeconomic issues, security, civic participation, the exclusion of particular groups. This is our agenda. Our agenda is not necessarily how do we have constitutional change. Our agenda is how do we ensure that all people, marginalised groups that are devalued, not listened to, but have really important forms of knowledges, are able to participate. So it's breaking down the fear through the way that you shape the workshops. And it is providing a structure to the workshop that is non-threatening for people, and that people can talk comfortably about. Everyone has had experiences of healthcare. Yeah. Most women have had experiences of insecurity. Most women would understand the difficulties of trying to engage politically. So all of these things are very, very familiar ground. But on the basis of that ground, you can move to other issues such as a border poll. But it is easier to open discussions around socio-economic issues than it is about identity issues. Now, that's not to displace those issues in any way, but it is to open up space where those identity issues don't completely saturate the ground for discussion, if you understand me. the identity issues get a lot of focus already. So it's a matter of trying to open up an additional space for people, just ordinary people, to talk about the issues that matter most to them. If that makes sense. And
does.
I know everyone has asked me about the funding. I have to tell everybody there is no easy way around this. A citizens' assembly will be a lot cheaper, but it's not going to have the participatory impact of broader forms of work